Welcome to the City Show. Pat O'Melia here on GGR Radio. As I always say at the beginning of the show, download the Live 365 app. Well, if you're listening, you did that already. But tell your friends, tell your mom's friends, tell your friends at work. Download it. A lot of other programming besides what we have. A lot of music, especially if you're in the music. You're in the music, there's a lot going on Live 365. And all of our shows are going to be on there, or there are on there. And as we come out of the summer, we'll have some new shows coming. I want to get my high school kids, and I'm going to have some college kids this year, it looks like, in the program where we're teaching studio production and radio production. So we'll have a lot of other shows, and I'm always trying to con people into becoming a radio host. Yeah, when I broke with the radio, it was very difficult. Actually, probably even more difficult now because there's less radio stations. It's a good opportunity for people who want to get into this business. Talking about business, we got the business today from heat. Wow, it is hot out there today. It's been hot. 4th of July was hot. And what do you do on 4th of July? Some people would barbecue. No, me with the 2 bad legs, waiting for getting knee operations done, 2 replacements. I want to clean the garage out because I want to put a small broadcast office in there. Because I'm going to be broadcasting on a boardwalk in Seaside Heights promoting tourism here in New Jersey with the Shore Show Radio. And if it rains, you got to be somewhere, so I figured my kid's got a 2-car garage down there, so I'll make a little office and broadcast. Nothing fancy, just a desk, chair, that sort of thing. But it entails a lot of cleaning and a lot of remodeling and reorganizing the place. When the kids bought the house, I put the garage together as really a wood shop. The whole house had to be renovated. It was outdoor steps. It was a Shore Show house, the Seaside House. We had to rebuild all the stairways. We did a lot of work. So I got a table saw. There's actually a wood shop in there. So now to rearrange the wood shop. Humidity was like in the high 80s, low 90s, hot each day. I'm dying out there. Well, they got to get this done. As I was telling Garrett, our engineer here, said there's no ferries that are coming in there to do this for me. I got to do it myself. Bad legs and all. I'm paying for it now. My legs are still killing me. But hopefully in the next week, I might even go down there tomorrow. So I got to see what the schedule is. I got to get a watch band. I broke my watch band doing a garage. I got to put an oil sending switch in my car. So there are things I could do while I'm down there and just finish the garage. And maybe next Thursday we'll do our first show on the boardwalk there. But again, if it rains, I could just slip into the garage and still do the show. All right, before we break for commercial, again, don't forget, download the app, Live 365, and then do GGR, and boom, you're listening to entertainment you've never dreamt of before. All right, we'll be right back.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its 2 newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
We're back. Pat O'Melia, City Show Radio here on GGR. I gotta say, it is hot. But usually I'm outside waiting for the sweeper to come by to move my van in front of the studio. Let Garrett do that today. But one of the problems is you're sitting in a van, and if I'm waiting, it's like they're going to take the whole time. So now you're cooked in there. Then you got to come up into the studio, and then you got to be perky and get on the radio. Meanwhile, you've been baking in the van for a half hour or maybe longer, whatever it is. So I let Garrett move the van. But enjoy something. Listen, we're waiting for summer. Yeah, I'm starting to think I'm more of a winter guy now. I'm more of a fall, spring guy. That's what I am. But, if I had to make a choice, I'd probably go winter because it's so hot. You can always put a sweater and a coat on, Yeah, you're not going to walk around nude outside. You don't want to see me walking around nude outside, It's so hot. But enjoy it. There's a heat advisory in the place today. So stay home. Stay in front of the air conditioner. When I'm working on the air conditioning in the studio here today, why do we wait until it's freaking hot to do these things, right? We've been running the AC, and the ACs were overheating. And Garrett and I were surmising that it might be the heat. Turns out we didn't have enough juice going to them. So they're working quite hard. So they've got an electrician in here somewhere, and they're working on getting the air conditioners the proper 220 volts in there. We had a problem last year. We didn't realize what it was, and now we do. And it's ridiculous excuses as to why this happened. But we're working on that today, so it'll be a little cool. It's livable in here. But, you realize if you're in here, it's summertime. So, again, heat advisory is in effect. Stay indoors. Drink a lot of Jersey City water. If you're in Jersey City, the MUA's got all the lead out. And new water pipes, I tell you, there's a big bill coming from the MUA because they've done probably billions of dollars worth of infrastructure work in the last couple of 3 years. Everywhere you turn, new water mains, new sewers, new fire hydrants. A lot of work there. And somebody's got to pay for it. But you'll be drinking good, clean water as you're in the poorhouse. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of work that was done there. I pay attention because I'm constantly stuck. You want to go down the street, there's the MUA, they're putting sewers there, they're putting water mains somewhere. But the water, they get all the lead mediation in the schools, that's done, that are working on the residents' homes, well, the residential homes, I should say, making sure they have the lead pipes are removed. And there's a little test you go to the MUA website, it'll tell you how you can test to see if you got lead pipes in your house. You take an older house like mine in Congress Street, was built in 1850, I'm afraid to scrape something there. I probably got lead, and the lead is probably coated with asbestos. There's probably some radium in there somewhere, It's from 1850. We didn't know what the hell we were doing back then. And if we did, we didn't tell anybody. It's like cigarettes back then. You think cigarette companies didn't know what was going on? Sure they did. They just didn't care. I seen a thing on TV where back in like the 30s and the 40s, they were sending doctors cartons of cigarettes for free. So they would prescribe cigarettes. Yeah. Little tense, have a cigarette. They were prescribing cigarettes to pregnant women back then. Now, I'm an ex-smoker. I've been smoking about 17 years, I guess. But one time I was smoking 3 packs a day. Maybe that's why I'm having these health issues now. Every time I try to get my knees done, something else happens. Every time I go to the doctor, I just went to the doctor yesterday. I didn't get good results. But I didn't do the blood test right. I wasn't drinking at all. So I got to go back and get another blood test. But like every time I leave the doctor, all I want to do is get my knees replaced. And I wound up getting a stent in my heart. Then we had a friggin' anemia. I was down instead of having the count of like 16, 17, I was down to 4.2. Every time I want to get my knees worked on, there's some hammer that hits me over the head. Which means that physically, in my opinion, my problem is my knees. But probably from smoking all those years, there's a few other things that are probably creeping in there. But speaking of creeping, the big, beautiful bill that was signed last week on 4th of July, right? Yeah, I think it was 4th of July. The big, beautiful bill. I read it. I'm not smart enough to understand everything. There's some of the things I understood. Yeah, there's 2 things everybody's talking about. Of course, Medicaid. They're going to have work requirements. There's going to be more requirements. Things I think I got a little out of hand, especially coming into the pandemic with the Medicaid. Everybody and his brother was getting on it. The Affordable Care Act. I had a guy, Mike, was working with me at that time before I got a Medicare. Before I got to that age, Mike had a pretty good policy. He was paying $20 a month. He had a better policy than me. Than I was paying $9.50 a month. There's something wrong here. I am not Robin Hood. So basically what the Affordable Care Act was doing was stealing from me and giving it over to him. And the thing was, he had better coverage than me. And that's what really drove me nuts. I think that got a little out of hand where you had able-bodied people who were sitting at home and they had full coverage. Again, better coverage than me. The Affordable Care, the big, beautiful bill. Who names these things, by the way? There's got to be Trump coming up with one by himself. The big, beautiful bill. First off, before we get into this, I'm going to get into the Medicare requirements. One of the things, and nobody's talking about it, everybody was crying about this, the SALT, the state and local tax deduction. It was at $10,000 a year. It was automatically take 10 off your local taxes. The feds, if before it was more than that, but they moved it back to 10. Everybody was crying, it's ruining, it's hurting the people who have homes. It was a problem. If you were paying more than $10,000 a year, it was a problem. But everybody in New Jersey neglected to say that the cap in New Jersey for state and local taxes was $10,000. They were bitching about the feds bringing it down to 10, but everybody forgot New Jersey's been capped at $10,000 forever. But now President Trump and the senators and the Congress people, they all agreed to raise it to $40,000. Well, that's good. Like you take my daughters, they got some properties. They're not paying more than 40 grand a year total, so they'll have a complete tax deduction. And the way the tax structures are now in New Jersey, and again, we are the #1 state for property taxes. This helps everybody in the state. You know, whether you're a property owner or you're a renter, it brings down the cost of that home, and that gets passed on to the renters. The 10 grand, maybe that was a little tight, but again, it was the same number with the state. And everybody was attacking, oh, it's terrible, and that. I think it went in when Trump was his first term. Horrible. It wasn't fair to the people in New Jersey and the Northeast states. Well, that's one of the problems. We got to figure out why. Somewhere in the show here, I'm going to get to the school funding, because we have a situation at Tom's River. Tom's River school system was going to go bankrupt. And the state stepped in and said, no, you're just going to raise taxes. And they raised taxes, and they raised it substantially. It's like 14%. I think overall, when you included everything, it's like a 22% tax increase. There's a problem with how we fund things. And New Jersey, anything to do with funding is a problem. But with the salt tax, that gives everybody a breakdown. You know, unless you're living in a mansion, which is now, I think, it is now determined that if your home is worth $3 million, it's a mansion. For a while with the Jersey budget, they were going to put a transfer fee if you purchased or sold a home for more than $1 million. You cannot sell a home for $1 million now. Everything's $1 million. Like I said many times here, like the house in Jersey City. Yeah, we turned down $1.5 million. And it's a nice house, mind you. You know, I look at it, it's a nice house. Is it worth $1.5 million? No, but that's what it is now. And even the kids got the house in Seaside Heights. They bought it back in 2017. It's quadrupled in value at least. You couldn't touch that house for less than $1 million. Everything's $1 million. So to put a tax on a sale of $1 million home, I think every home's $1 million now. Especially, put it this way: you got a multi-family, 2 or 3 family, you're adults about looking at $1 million. And I don't see how a young couple, if you're going to live the American dream and buy a home, how you cannot buy a home unless it's multifamily, because you've got to get some help with the mortgage. If you're buying a home that's worth $1 million, and they're trying to work on the down payment. I know Zillow has something. I didn't really look into it. It's 1% down. Maybe that works. It gives you a bigger note amongst every month to pay, but at least you didn't have to come up with $70,000 at the beginning, or $170,000, whatever it is. If you don't have revenue coming in from that house, unless you're a trust fund baby or a Nepo baby or a rich baby or some kind of baby that got some bucks, a buck baby, I don't know how you can afford a house. It's incredible how expensive it is. And you complain about it, you hear people complain about it, but the other side of the coin is this is a family investment. So it's good for the family, but it's terrible for the person who's trying to rent or buy a home. I was talking to Mayor Fulop about property values. I was saying I'm trying to get my kids to buy another piece of property. Probably Seahawk is at North Bergen. Steve's like, well, it's not Jersey City. I can't afford it. I said, even if we were to sell our house in Jersey City, it would be a lateral move, and I wouldn't get that much house in a lateral move. Across the street from our house, they got a 2-family. They're selling the first and second floor for $1.1 million. $1.1 million just for the first floor. No, I think the first floor was $1.3 million because it had the garage. The second floor was $1.1 million. You were parking in the street. We sold the house, so you got $1.5 million. Now I'm going to get 1 floor. So you can get more bang for your buck locally in Secaucus and North Bergen. Another place that would be, if you're looking to buy a home, Bayonne. Because I get these things from Zillow. I'm always passing them over to my daughters. They don't realize, Dad, listen to Dad again. While you're young, you got the money, buy more property. When you're my age, you're not going to be sitting there scratching your butt saying, boy, I'd like to buy a bag of gummies, but I don't have the money. You won't be in that situation. But they send me these things in Bayonne. I'll look, oh, wow, 3-family home for $750,000. Oh, it's Bayonne. But my daughter's teaching in North Bergen. If it wasn't for the teaching aspect, I'd buy in Bayonne. You're on the peninsula there. It's a nice town. Jimmy Davis did a good job. Jimmy's going to be the sheriff come January, so there'll be an election there. That's not a bad place to look. You got to find those pockets where you still got a shot at getting a good bang for your buck. And I think right now it's Bayonne #1, North Bergen #2, and Secaucus would probably be in the 3-hole there. But if you're looking in Hudson County, I'm looking at that. Nice areas, nice towns. Especially Bayonne, you think of it, nice peninsula. If Jimmy Davis brought back Uncle Milty's, it would have been good. But getting back, I just fly off the handle. I don't know why I write stuff here. I write this stuff and I never read it. But the salt tax, that went up, so that's good. The other thing everybody's complaining about, especially the Democrats, and I'm starting to get tired of the Democrats. You see, the campaign is over. It is now time for the business of the people. Everybody needs to work together to do what's best for the country and the people, not throw friggin' rocks at each other. You know, if Trump comes out or the Republicans come out and say it's a sunny day, the Democrats will say there is no sun. What are they talking about? There's no sun in the sky. It's friggin' ridiculous. You know, they're talking about, one of the big things they're complaining about is the work requirement. Well, I also want to say, they're talking about seniors will be deprived of coverage. Seniors are on Medicare. Unless there's the disability aspect, they're on Medicare. Medicare isn't being touched. If you're disabled, you could be getting Medicare and Medicaid at the same time. So anybody saying that they're taking seniors off, that's just flat out lies. And you see some of these guys that are on a camera, and they're lying to your face. They're actually lying to the reporter or the interviewer who have the answer. Most interviewers already know the answer to the question. So when that person's lying about seniors being kicked off, that's not happening. If there's people with disabilities, that's not happening. For that matter, one thing I was interested in reading that if you have a substance issue, you'll still get Medicaid. I thought that was interesting. But one of the things they're complaining about is the work requirement. If you're an able-bodied person and you're getting free benefits, like I said, I was paying like $900 a month, and Mike was getting better benefits than me, they want you to work. You can volunteer, you can go to school, or you go to work. If that, and it doesn't take an effect until 2027, I would take that and massage it a little bit. So if you're going to volunteer or going to work, we should use that Medicaid aspect that we can open doors in companies where maybe you wouldn't get a shot at that interview. Maybe you can now. But we're basically going to offer employers free labor. You're going to have to do 8 hours a week, 8 hours a day or 2 days, or 4 hours, whatever the case is. I'm going to offer it. It's what the state should do, if whether it's Jack Citarelli or Mikey Sherrill. We should go to private sector and the government, but let me go with private sector first. Say, we'll give you this person for free to work. It's almost like an internship, a training. That person will work for you. You'll get to know that person. You'll get to know your business. And when you're ready to hire somebody, you want to put an ad on Craigslist or something, or you want to hire that guy who's been with us for the last few months working with us. He already knows the operation. We know him. He's a good guy. Maybe we wouldn't have looked at him before, but since he was working here all these months, he's in line to get a job. Use this work requirement as a foot in the door with private sector. And I mean, anywhere you can go, from car dealerships to ShopRite to offices to manufacturing to carpentry shops to plumbers, wherever. Nobody turns down free labor. Somebody comes in right now, a kid who wants to learn video and radio, free labor, yes, we'll be happy to train you because you're doing some work for us and you're learning. That's how a lot of these guys started with me. They interned here, and they worked for an intern for a year, a couple of years. And then they moved on to bigger and better. That's almost what this is like. But when it's free labor involved, it's like opening the doors to companies that you wouldn't have got a shot at before. That's where the government has to step in and put together a program. But there's work involved with doing that. But there's also the government itself, the county, the state, and municipal governments, where you got to work 8 hours a week. We can have you at the DPW at Jersey City, or in North Bergen, or in Union City, or the Jersey City MUA, or at City Hall working in the offices, or at the recreation department. I think Jersey City has over 3,000 employees. Same thing with the county, I believe. There's a lot of opportunities there. Now, I cover the commissioner meetings for the county of Hudson. I'm at those meetings, and they're always talking about, we can't get enough help, we can't hire, we're not getting enough people here. Well, here's a friggin' great opportunity where we can get these people to come in 8 hours a week. They get to learn, you get to learn them, you get to know them, and then you can sit there and say, we should probably keep this person. And most internships do turn into a regular job because the person has got to know everybody else in the company, got to know the owners, they got to know the routines, they know what needs to be done. That's the ideal way to make this work. Take the work requirement with the Medicaid and make it an opportunity to get a foot in the door. Again, whether it's private sector, whether it's municipal government, It's free labor. Nobody turns that down. Nobody turns down free. Nobody goes into McDonald's where any size coffee is $1 and gets the small one. Yeah, it's free. You want to take as much as you can get for free, and that's what we're talking about here. And you get young men and women who are looking for work, or maybe even people returning back to the workforce. You can let them get a foot in the door. They'll get that training. They'll get to know the people, and when that company is making the decision, do we want to hire somebody? And according to the big, beautiful bill, money is just going to be falling out of the sky, so we'll have money to hire people also. So I think that's an excellent. Just don't leave these people on the street and leave them up to you to find somewhere where you can go to work or volunteer or go to school. I don't mind going to school. It's probably going to cost you money. But, you can get that internship. Just in the building where our studio is, there must be 1,000 companies here. There's a huge building and there's signs all over. You can get jobs in here. If you're offering free labor, you'll be amazed how many people will put you to work if you're going to work for free. And eventually you'll get a permanent job there. And that's how we should approach this. Now, getting back to the lies, Bill Clinton, who I think was probably in my lifetime, him and Reagan, probably the best presidents, he wanted to have a work requirement for Medicare, and I think also welfare. He wanted a work requirement. Nobody's complaining about that. And he actually got clips of him talking about it. And it would be a way to get people back in the workforce. I think it's a good idea. I have a problem with people sitting at home who are able-bodied and getting full benefits. I'm trying to wonder how people don't work. What is your life situation where you don't have to go to work? Where you could sit at home, play PS2, you got money, you got coverage now. What is your life situation that you can do this? I never had a moment in my life where I didn't have to work. From when I was a very young age, I went to work every day. You wanted a car, you wanted an apartment, you wanted to go with the ladies. The ladies didn't go with men that didn't have money or a car or an apartment. That was the big three. It was almost a case where you would show them your address. That's my car over here. Here's all the money I got in my pocket, and I got a job. And you see what you get out of that. But that's how it was. I don't know how people get around without cars. How are you picking up babes without cars? You gonna put them on the handlebars? It ain't gonna happen. Not gonna work. You gotta have a car. So you gotta work for these things. For that matter, I guess everybody's home right now. It's Prime deals. Prime is from July 8th to the 11th. I was dropping off soda and Gatorade to my daughter. She comes up to me, it's Prime sale today. It's okay. What are you going to buy something? So I need money to buy things. I'm not like you. My daughter has done well. So no. But I said, also, I don't have to buy today. I can buy tomorrow. It's still the 11th. Oh, that's right. It's like 3 days, isn't it? My daughter will never come out of the house. She's on summer vacation from teaching right now. She won't come out of the house until Amazon Prime sale is over. There'll be lines of UPS and Amazon drivers outside my kid's house with the stuff she's buying. But again, I want to emphasize with Medicaid, seniors aren't getting kicked off. People with disabilities aren't getting kicked off. This is really able-bodied people. Now, you might even meet the requirements now. You just have to show that, which I'm sure would be in your W-2s. You're saying you're working, I'm sure that we will know that, or the government will know that. And again, it doesn't kick in until 2027. And in the world of government and politics, 2 years is like lifetimes, 2 years. So much can change in 2 years. Well, I'm in favor of this. I know people, we got some candidates for mayor that are complaining about this. Let's see if it works. And again, it's just a matter of trying to get people off their butt back into the workforce. So like every place I see is looking for work, hiring. So there's something wrong here. So we have people that should be working and aren't working. So maybe this will be inspiring them. Or maybe they're underemployed. Maybe they're in a position where they're in a dead-end job where if you take the advice that I'm talking about, get the foot in the door, they can improve their position in life by getting a better job, getting into a better company. Jersey City, there's a lot of opportunities on the waterfront. You look at North Bergen, you go down West Side Avenue, there's a ton of opportunities on West Side Avenue. There's a lot of employment there. But it's hard to get your foot in the door, but when it's free labor, that door opens. As soon as you say the word free labor, doors open right up. But when you're listening to these Democrats, Elon, my man Elon's going to start a third political party, Elon Musk. Yeah, and if you recall, months and months ago on this very show, I said Elon and Trump, they weren't going to last forever. They knew that bromance was going to end. So now Elon he's starting the American Party, which is good for. I think he's from South Africa, but it's good he's starting an American Party. You know, all through history, there were many third parties. We were a two-party system. Now, I think I tweeted out to Elon, bring back the Whigs. Bring back the Whigs. It's not going to work. Yeah, Russ Perot, what was his? He had a third party. That didn't work either. Then you had the Tea Party. There's still remnants of the Tea Party around. Here's what Elon Musk, he was upset about the big, beautiful bill here. And in politics, nobody gets the whole loaf of bread. Yeah, lucky you get a half a loaf. Some people may only get slices, but nobody gets the whole loaf. Elon's got to understand that. To get bills put through and voted on, you got to do some horse trading. There was less horse trading in this bill, I think, than in many previous bills, where they would throw millions and billions of dollars on to study, sardines or something like that. Dump money into parts of the country where just to get a vote. I think there was less horse trading here than there had been in the past. Let's see if it works. Like I said, when Trump first got elected, let's ride with the guy for a year. Instead of throwing rocks at the guy, let's ride with the guy for the year. You know, the guy is a billionaire, so he knows how to make money. Yeah, he borrowed a couple of million from his father and built an empire, so I'll listen to the guy. And also I'll listen to Elon. I think Elon is the Thomas Edison of our time, just not the kind of inventor that steals ideas like Edison allegedly did. But you look at, what he did. He bought Tesla, made that the most valuable car company on the planet. Yeah, I got SpaceX. You got Starlink. For that matter, he's selling Starlink now. You can get Starlink for your house. I've seen it on Twitter. It's like $399. It's $100 a month for Starlink. It's supposed to be a great internet, and you'll have internet service anywhere. You can put it on top of your house. It's mobile. You can bring it up to the boardwalk when we're broadcasting. Get a little suction cup and stick it on your head and just walk around a little solar field on your head, and you can get the Starlink. But and he's got the Neuralink, and that Neuralink is giving people with disabilities a quality of life they probably wouldn't have dreamed of having. So as much as Elon is going off the deep end and he's really mad, it's a breakup. You know, that happens. He'll probably go and key Trump's Tesla. He's very upset. But the Dems got to realize, all these guys in Washington now, they got to realize that we all have to work together for the business of the people. And it's not, the campaign's over. It's not the Republicans and the Dems. Now it's the business of the people. And stop being, especially when you have those events in Congress where, the president's talking, only one half stand up and applaud, the other ones are holding stupid signs. They're stupid. Did the Democrats realize how far they fell in the last year? Actually, if you brought the Whigs back, the Whigs would beat the Democrats right now. That's how bad it is. All right, let's break for commercial. You're listening to The City Show here on GGR. I'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
We're back. We're back here, City Show on GGR. I'm Pat O'Melia. I was just talking about Democrats and Republicans up there here. Let's beat up the Dems a little bit more because they just want to beat themselves up. Dems are lining up behind Mondani, in New York City. The more this light goes on him, the worse it gets for this guy. Now, there's no saying about a monkey climbing a flagpole. The higher the monkey goes up, the more you see its ass. That's what's happening to this Mondani guy. He's being caught with offensive videos now, where he's portraying people of the Jewish faith. Yeah, that ain't going to work for you. Yeah, he's lied about his race to get into college. Said he was African American. He's not African American. His pie in the sky promises if he's the mayor, which anybody in New York City would tell you it's not going to happen. Yeah, you're not going to have free bus and train service. Look at the congestion pricing. The MTA is blowing through millions and millions and millions of dollars just in the congestion pricing alone, and they still don't have enough money to run the train. So how are you going to run the trains if it's free? Where are you coming up with the money? So I guess the congestion pricing would have to be free too. Everything will be free under this guy. You're going to have government supermarkets. All that's going to do is cut down on shoplifting now. You won't have to shoplift. You can just go in there and get what would a government supermarket be? Maybe I should Google that and see if there's any government supermarkets anywhere. What is in a government supermarket? Yeah, you're going to put all the other supermarkets out of business? But it wouldn't even happen. I'm not challenging the supermarkets. What he's talking about is never going to happen in our lives. Just the free transit will never happen. Yeah, look at New Jersey Transit here. I think it's 75% of the budget is covered by taxes. So I guess if Jersey Transit, you have to cover the other 25%. So what the hell? You're paying for it. People who don't use New Jersey Transit pay for New Jersey Transit. So maybe Mandani's not too crazy. If the trains and buses are subsidized like New Jersey Transit in New York City, maybe you can do it. Just got to come up with another 25%. And of course, you do the knee jerk. You tax the rich. All our problems will be solved just by taxing the rich. The people that made something of themselves, who went to school, got a trade, acquired a skill, made good investments, they've been successful. But no, you're successful, we want to dig into your pocket. But the matter of what's the level of success before we dig in your pocket? When we come to your house with a green hat with a feather in it and green leotards on like Robin Hood and say, we want your money for being successful. You went out and made a living for yourself. You made a future. Now we want to take that and give this person who ain't doing anything. Didn't go to school, didn't learn a craft, didn't acquire a skill. We want to give them the money. How does that happen? And I'm going to tell you something about the rich. I know I'm not rich. I'm 100 there. But I know some rich people. I'm going to tell you something about rich people. They're very mobile now. You could run your company in New York City or New Jersey from Florida or Texas real easy. You can Zoom in there. You can text in there. You can do it. You don't have to physically be there. There used to be a requirement. I'm sure there still are. I know Derek Jeter got jammed up in this. A friend of mine, Steve Hyman, did. If you want to claim that you're a resident of Florida and not to pay New York taxes, you had to show that you were in the state of Florida for X amount of days. I forget what it was more than half the year you had to be in Florida. But you had to validate those days and prove that you were there. No, Derek Jeter got jammed up. Steve Hyman got jammed up that time. But that's not the way it is now. Many of these guys, we're not playing for the Yankees, so you can't zoom into home plate, But somebody running a large corporation, they can zoom. They can zoom right on the beaches of Florida. So now you don't have that 1% that you're going to tax. And if your whole plan is free transportation and tax the rich, not only rich, you want to tax the white neighborhoods. How racist you want to get there? We want to tax the white neighborhoods. We want to tax the rich and give everybody free transit. And this is actually working. Right now, they're in New York City, Cuomo and Eric Adams. Supposedly Cuomo asked Eric Adams to drop out of the race, so it would just be him and Mondani again. Mondani kicked Cuomo's ass. If anything, Eric Adams should be saying, you drop out. You already got your ass kicked. Let me go head-to-head with this guy. We got some socialists. I think there's a Democratic socialist running in Ward B in Jersey City. I don't see how anybody votes for this. If you're a red-blooded American, how the hell are you voting for socialism? How did the greatest country in the history of this planet come about? Because we're capitalists. It was the American dream. I know we talked about this last week, and be whatever you want to be. You can get close to being whatever you want to be. I don't know if you can be what you want to be. Can't even get a whopper your way nowadays. I don't know if you can be what you want to be. But, if you worked hard you got an education, you acquired a skill, all of that, you know what I'm talking about. You could have a good living in this country, but you have to apply yourself. And I think as each generation went on, we instilled that on our children to strive to be better than your parents, which wasn't hard in my case. It was pretty easy. My kids had surpassed me real easy. By the time they hit fourth grade, they had surpassed Dad, Said, good job. My job is done. You have surpassed me in life. But getting back to who would vote for this? You start bringing this in, you start to question, the future of our country. I don't know if I'll see this country fail, but I'm sure people in Rome were saying, "Oh, Rome's going to be here forever." No, I'm sure the Egyptians thought the same way. That didn't work out. But remember, nothing in this country is free. You have to earn everything you want. This country is happy to help you get on your feet. I was going to use another word. But it doesn't know you're living. Socialism only works until they run out of other people's money. And that's what will happen to Mondani. On one hand, I'd like to see him get elected, just so I could see, the dumpster fire that would become. But I know that dumpster fire would manage, the dumpster would somehow float across the Hudson River and land in Jersey City. And I'd get to see the flames up close then. All right, let's break for commercial. When we come back, we'll talk about the 4th of July stampede in Jersey City. We'll be right back.
No one plans on heart disease, but everyone should have a plan for it. We help patients of all lifestyles and medical histories plan for healthy hearts. We offer convenient screenings without judgment, hundreds of preventive programs, and women's heart specialists. And we're the largest cardiac surgery program in New Jersey. Make plans for a healthy heart with RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
We're back. City Show here on GGR. I'm Pat O'Melia. On the 4th of July, since Mayor Fulop has been a mayor, he has done up a good job. Well, he made a spectacle out of 4th of July. It is truly a celebration. Big fireworks. We see the Macy's one, but now we have Jersey City one. Every concerts. This year we didn't have I don't think we had the big headliner, because he would always do that teaser who was going to be the big headliner, Snoop Dogg or what have you. I don't think we did that this year. But we had the fireworks down on the waterfront. And it's a real, first of all, before I even talk about the stampede, it is a huge inconvenience for everybody in Jersey City for the fireworks display. The roads are closed. If you live downtown Jersey City, you are super inconvenienced by the 4th of July celebration. And every year there are these issues. And every year you got to question, should we be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars when we can use those hundreds of thousands of dollars to probably buy a 2 or 3 family home, or at least come down with a down payment for affordable housing instead of blowing it on fireworks where we can, again, see the Macy's ones. And Jersey City always had some sort of a fireworks display. We used to have one as a kid at Roosevelt Stadium. And, of course, Marion section, they had a good fireworks display all those years. This year, they're at the fireworks display in Jersey City, and the fireworks going off, boom, 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 boom. Somebody said, somebody's shooting. That sounds like gunfire. Let's get the hell out of here, which might be a knee-jerk reaction to Jersey City people. Sounds like gunfire. Let's get out of here. So they started running, and it became like a snowball effect in July. They're running, they're trampling people, stomping them, trying to get away from the gunfire. Again, you're at a fireworks display. Kind of sounds like gunfire, I bet. Fortunately, a lot of people got a lot of elbow, and a lot of people got stepped on. Only a couple of any injuries to really speak about. But now that Mayor Fulop this is his last 4th of July as mayor, we should really look at, is that what we want to use this money for? Not even talking about the overtime we got to pay the cops and have emergency services there and the cleanup expense. We're spending a ton of money. For that matter, they're talking about our credit rating in Jersey City was just downgraded. There are a lot of expenses in Jersey City. Mayor Fulop has done a hell of a job keeping all the balls in the air. He should be dressed up like a clown juggling, he's keeping them balls in the air. Well, whoever the next mayor is, there's going to be a lot of balls on the desk. They're not going to be in here anymore. There's going to be some serious financial things that you're going to have to look at. I'm not saying Fulop kicked anything down the road, but he made the city work for the 12 years he was here. He held the line on taxes, but I'm sure, and the kid's got a financial brain there with Fulop. He understands money better than most people. Hopefully the next person who's the mayor understands that also, because you don't get the balls back in the air. Things could be bad. But we got to start looking at how we spend money. And our credit rating was degraded, but there are a lot of expenses. Health insurance in Jersey City is ridiculously high for the employees. The pension is ridiculously high in Jersey City, and each year you get those surprises. One of the things, why don't they have automatic debits in Jersey City? I just got hit with Adobe. Adobe and I will be talking either today or tomorrow. We have this conversation every year because they debit my account every month for our Adobe package, use that for our editing and all. And when they have access, they just charge you, Well, they raised the price, went up about 50%. They didn't even bother telling me. One of the few things I did today, I just went through my email, see all my past emails from Adobe. See, did they tell me this was happening? No, they didn't. And there, somewhere on that computer, I've had this conversation with Adobe for years now. They should say, maybe we shouldn't raise this guy's price, but he's very difficult to deal with. As many of you know from my years at radio and TV, I'm very good at consumer issues. I'm very good at them when they pertain to me. Think I'm good when they're with you. I'm even better when they're with me. Now I can pull all my tricks out of my hat. Next week, I'll tell you what the final price will be. Well, it ain't going to be what they're charging me. Now, I don't know if I have time today because I want to pick up a part for my car. I want to pick up an oil sending switch. I'm waiting for Chet from Buywise Auto Parts, down on Grand Avenue there. Good auto parts. Chet's a hell of a parts guy. Problem is, Chet doesn't return his calls. I would like to pick that part up today, because maybe I'll get my car fixed tomorrow. I got to go to get a watch band that I broke. I got to get that done. And I'm going to talk to a few politicals about some radio stuff. But getting back to Jersey, man, see how I just drift off? I just drift away. Now I got to pull myself back. Yes, Jersey City, I know Solomon was attacking. He wouldn't mention the Fulop by name, but we know what he's talking about getting the city's finances in order. I don't think any city's finances are in order. The matter is how well you can present them to the people of Jersey City, how well you can present the city's finances in a tax bill. That's it. And Fulop has been very successful with this for 12 years. Just look around. Look at the other communities. Look at the county. The county raised taxes in Seacog 30%. You don't see Fulop raising 30%. But we need to do a reset. And I said this before. We should hit the reset button to 20 years ago. Whatever programs we had 20 years ago is where we should be our starting point now. Any programs we added in since then, we have to look at and say, do we really need these programs? Probably not. And I know I'm being told somewhere along the line we might have a big expense in Jersey City concerning undocumented aliens here. It seems we might be funding some of that. I don't know if it's true yet. No sense beating Fulop on it now. He's looking at the door, looking at the exit sign saying, come on, January, come on, January. I'll talk to whoever comes in next. But, whether it's O'Day, McGreevy, Solomon, Joyce Waterman, Masab, Ali. There's a young woman. I actually got to get myself in gear with all the council people who are running and the candidates. I just got to get myself in gear with one candidate for mayor. We got to start putting dates together for debates here, live debates for the council. I'd like to try to do something with the council at large. Nobody ever does a council at large debate. That is the best job. That's almost like a no-show job, being a councilman at large. Nobody goes to the councilman at large. The two toughest jobs in Jersey City is mayor and council person. Ward council. Council at large? It's like you're on a whole different plane somewhere. You might be physically on a different plane somewhere because nobody goes to them. That's like the last resort is to go to a campsite lodge. But I'd like to do that. The problem is it gets there's a lot of people. You got 3 on each ticket. Right now we got 6 tickets, that's 18 people, right? That's a lot of people. You can't do it in one debate. But we'll work on that. Jersey City should probably look at some of these programs we here have and some of the things we're spending money on. Oh, by the way, finally, I see New York. Maybe this will roll in over into Jersey now. State of New York is going to embrace nuclear energy. Nuke 'em high over there. The same state that closed a few nuclear plants because we're going to use wind and solar. Wind and solar are nice if you're having lights in your backyard. Like in my kids' house in Seaside, we got probably 140 some odd solar lights on their property. And they look good when they're working, but they don't always work because they always don't get enough sun. And forget about the wind. Yeah, I have no faith in wind. Like the wind turbine they put in Bayonne, I don't think it ever worked. I don't know where any of these wind turbine fields or whatever they call them, where they work successfully. That I don't buy into. What I do buy into is nuclear, natural gas, and coal, and that seems what we're embracing now. Especially the nuclear. It burns clean. Yeah, they're not the huge nuclear plants anymore, like pocket nuclear plants. Looks like New York State's going to embrace them. So should we. The solar system's not going to work. It's not going to happen. But yeah, I can see nuclear. I can see natural gas. I can see coal. I grew up in Dogpatch. We used to have the public service coal plant right at the end of the street. I'm still here. Have some physical ailments, could be from the coal plant back then. But now they got all these buffers and cleaners. Supposedly coal burns pretty clean. Natural gas does burn pretty clean. Propane, but nuclear. Yeah, North Bergen. We're going to have, that would have solved Sacco's problems there, that nuclear generator. Natural gas generating plant in North Bergen. But all the bleeding hearts, we don't want that. It'll ruin the environment. Yeah, it won't. But we had like these handful of people, like 20 people that were complaining and protesting. So Murphy, who embraced technology that wasn't ready for prime time, may never be ready for prime time. So that's got to be addressed in New Jersey, and we are addressing it. We realize the fallacies of the Murphy energy plans. So yeah, if we had opened, hopefully they can bring that natural gas generating plant, electric generating plant, back on the board here in North Bergen. That would help the finances in North Bergen, and it would be so nice if you could have more electric getting into our grids, so we don't have to suffer through brownouts. But I'm in the Ring community, and yesterday, people in Tom's River's got the worst electrical. JCP&L, it's like almost a daily event that they have blackouts down there, power failures. And yesterday they had a pretty bad one, and it was so friggin' hot and humid. And the Ring community was blowing up. They were, at least until like midnight, they had no power. Then JCP&L notified the people that between midnight and 6 a.m. they'll be doing work on some transformer. You won't have any electricity. People are like, we don't have any now. You're going to tell me you're looking at another 6 hours? Yeah, there was a transformer issue. I know Megatron and the Autobots had a problem, whatever the hell it was. But this happens all the time. That's just badly run. PS&G does a pretty good job. But we need to get more energy into the grid. And hopefully we start to embrace that and get away from the bleeding hearts here. We need reliable energy. Today. I don't want to. Seaside Heights, where the kids got the house, they got their own energy plant, their generating station, but their feed comes from JCP&L. I guarantee if I ask Mayor Vaz down there, why did you get into the electrical generation? He'll tell you because it is so unreliable that the only way we could keep the town running if we got into the business ourselves. We get a power feed from JCP&L, and then we just disperse the energy from there. And I bet that's what they did. Especially if you're like on the roller coaster or you're on the Ferris wheel or all those high rides and the power goes out, that's not good. So I'm sure that's why they got into the energy business, and I'm sure they got some backup generators up there. Because remember, if you're on that Ferris wheel or that roller coaster and it dies when you're in the upside down portion, not good at all. Texas flood disaster. What a tragedy that is. And so many young kids. it's tragedy for any age, but to see these pictures of these young kids that were there at a Christian camp is flat out awful. And did they have an early warning? That's what we're going to talk about when we come back from break. You're listening to The City Show. I'll be right back.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
We're back. You're listening to the City Show here on GGR. I'm Pat O'Melia. I'm going to talk about the disaster there in Texas flooding. And like I said, children were lost in this. And any life is a tragedy to lose. But to see the pictures of these kids, horrible. Horrible. Could have been prevented. Yeah, it could have been, it looks like. Was there anything that could have been done? Was there an early warning system that could have been installed for the floods? Yep. But there was a cost. And there's a cost now in human lives, but there was a financial cost. And the Texas county commissioners, they passed on purchasing an early warning system that would have warned when the river was coming up and the heavy rain, and would have given everybody some an hour notice or something to get out of Dodge. But the area this flood occurred in has a nickname like Flash Flood Alley or something like that. That's like, if you're living in the Tornado Alley in the Midwest there, you probably shouldn't be living in Tornado Alley or Flash Flood Alley here. But yes, there was a system that they looked into. They got pricing on it, and they decided not to get the early warning system because the word priorities came in. And they only got so much money. And they looked at it and said, well, we managed to survive all these floods. I'm sure we'll survive another flood. They didn't. But it matters. The guy said it was a matter of priorities. We had to figure out how we were going to distribute the money, and we just didn't have the millions it would take to install this early warning system. I'm sure all those people will pay for that decision in the next election. But you look at, and they called this flooding here a 100-year flood, kind of like what we called Superstorm Sandy. And we have spent, since Superstorm Sandy in New Jersey, billions and billions of dollars mitigating any possible flood again. Now it's probably been about 12 years since Sandy, something like that. And we haven't even come close to another Sandy. Did we spend the money right with priorities here in New Jersey? Like at Seaside Heights, you can't see the ocean anymore from the boardwalk because they put these dunes in. Hoboken is putting in the flood walls, and it will block Hoboken and parts of Jersey City. Now, I'm not the flood mitigation guy, but I'm sure the water could go around the walls and still flood Hoboken and Jersey City. But there were so many plans and systems that went into place. The state was buying land that they would use as a barrier for future flooding, but we never came close to another future flood. Hopefully we never do. But does that make sense to spend all the monies we did on what was a 100-year storm? Nothing like that ever hit us up here in Jersey City. That brings me back to City Hall when Bobby Burns was the clerk, rest his soul. They stored everything in the basement of City Hall, all the paperwork, and if City Hall's been there for 150 years, something like that. Never had an issue with flooding until Sandy. There was nothing like that before. Maybe there'll be nothing like that again. So somewhere along the line, did we make the right decisions on spending tons of money for mitigating a future flood situation that we only seen once in our lives? Now, here, these guys in Texas, they made a decision where they were going to put a early warning system in for an area they called Flash Flood Alley. Probably should have. It's 2020. It's hindsight's 2020, and what it is, there was a cost now, and it was in human lives, especially when it comes to those kids. What can we do to help? I'm sure the Red Cross is doing something. We could probably kick an idea around here of doing some sort of a fundraiser in the studio. As soon as we find out what the air conditioning situation is like here. One of the reasons we go on hiatus, it gets hot in here, and you turn these air conditioners up high, and then your audio is ruined from the sound of the air conditioners. But hopefully, somewhere along the line, if you can, get in touch with the Red Cross. I'm sure they're on the scene there, and I'll keep you posted. If we're going to do anything, let's take our last commercial break. You're listening to City Show Radio here on GGR. I'll be right back.
Comprehensive healthcare is here, here, and here. RWJ Barnabas Health is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County with its 2 newest locations, Hoboken and Exchange Place. Within walking distance or accessible by mass transit, our locations combine convenience with primary and specialty care, including cardiology, women's health, orthopedics, cancer care, and more. Let's be healthy together.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
We're back. City Show Radio here on GGR. Pat O'Melia. I got about 2 minutes left. North Bergen High School today, they're having a meeting at 6 p.m. concerning the pre-K school at Braddock Park. There are those who are against it. I think it's the most ideal location to put a pre-K school is in a park. And you got these bleeding hearts that are saying, well, we need all the park space for the people who go to the park. Well, this is less than 1% of the park space in Braddock. And it's not unheard of that we would use park space. But you look at Lincoln Park in Jersey City, we got the operations center there in Lincoln Park, which is a lot bigger than what the schools will be in Braddock Park. And for that matter, you even have the View, the restaurant and catering hall in Lincoln Park. Why is nobody complaining about that? This is a lot of political BS going on here with a bunch of bleeding hearts. If your kids, pre-cool, could go to a park instead of some school on the street, where would you want to send them? I said this before. We could build pre-Ks in our parks in Jersey City. It would be great. But we have too many needs here. A small town like North Bergen, they could do it. Also, another meeting tonight. A candidate for mayor and Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day is hosting a meeting on affordable housing at the Jersey City Education Association offices at 1600 JFK Boulevard. I think we're going to be getting some footage of this. So we'll edit it up for Mr. O'Day and get it out on the internet. Again, North Bergen, they're having a meeting at 6 p.m. at North Bergen High School concerning the pre-K trailers. If you can, I would go to that meeting and be in the pro side of opening that school. And go see, and if you're in Jersey City, go see Bill O'Day at the affordable housing. And I didn't get to do the school funding. I'll save that for next week. All right, we're out of show. You be good. You be safe. I'll talk to you next week. Good night.